The Bucs officially can't have a winning record this season, and chances of making the playoffs have all but dwindled. So, now what? Hey everyone, welcome to the Play Reaction. I'm Corey Draper, and this is the place to catch up on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, blah blah blah, subscribe, blah blah blah. Look guys, this team is the literal worst. Thanks for watching, but this is going to be depressing. The Bucs reverted back to being one of the most frustrating teams in football on Sunday. They jumped to a 14-3 lead on the Saints. The defense had stifled the New Orleans offense just as the Cowboys had. But then halftime happened. The offense completely fizzled and couldn't adjust to the Saints' adjustments. Meanwhile, the Saints' offense was constantly on the field as a result. The Bucs blew the lead and lost. It's kind of hard to truly blame this one on the defense. I think they did enough to win. Sure, the Saints offense adjusted and found a way past the Bucs D, but this defense was put in horrible positions. Since the Bucs offense couldn't move the ball, the Saints were always working with a short field. Then there's special teams, who may have contributed to this loss as much or more than the offense did. Our kicking savior, Cairo Santos, just ended up being another crazy guy with funny tasting Kool-Aid and missed 2 field goals, which would completely undo a long drive by the offense and a key turnover by the defense. And then the block punt allowed in the third quarter was a dagger in any momentum the Bucs had. It was the turning point of the game. Still, even with those gaffes by special teams, this offense just couldn't score or even move the ball. A lot of it was due to this offensive line giving Jameis zero time to make his reads in a vertical offense. They also had bad penalties that killed drives. I can't blame Jameis for chewing Jensen out on the sidelines for this. Then of course there's the play calling. Todd Monken and Dirk Koetter did nothing to help Jameis and didn't seem to change up the game plan at any point. There were a ton of vertical routes and slow developing plays that either ended up with Jameis scrambling or getting sacked. So I'm realizing that all of that basically was what was not so awesome about this game, and frankly there wasn't really anything at all that was awesome about this game. So I'm gonna forego both those segments this week and try to figure out where do we go from here. Okay, so last week I went over the Bucs' playoff chances, but since they lost, most of those chances are pretty much gone. So now what? We still have 3 games left. At this point, it's the race to 500. Can we go 8-8? Here's who we have left on the schedule. At Baltimore, at Dallas, and at home against the Falcons. How many games do you see the Bucs winning now that they don't really have anything to play for? The next 3 games are crucial for many reasons. For one, Koetter's fighting for his job. I know some of you think he's a dead man walking, but if the Bucs fight hard and pull it together to end the season 8-8, I could see him hanging around. The problem is both Baltimore and Dallas are fighting for the playoffs. The next 2 games are a tough hill to climb, especially since they'll both be away. So if the Bucs somehow win both of those games, that's not something to take lightly, even if they don't make the playoffs. I said this a lot last year. Think of the last 4 coaches that were fired in Tampa. Gruden, Morris, Schiano, and Lovie Smith. What's the one thing they all had in common their final seasons? A losing streak. All 4 coaches were fired because it looked like they lost the locker room. Their teams gave up when they had nothing to play for. So it will be interesting to see how this team responds. Do they rally around Koetter, or do they perpetuate the losing culture that has been prominent with this team for 10 years? I will say this, we were in the same situation last season and this team continued to fight hard and won their last game. Maybe that's why Dirk ended up keeping his job. That and Gruden went to the Raiders. This season, I'm thinking this team will need to win at least 2 of its last 3 for Dirk to even have a chance. Keep an eye on how this team plays down the stretch. That should tell you whether they think Koetter should stay or go. As for this week, the Bucs travel to Baltimore to play the 7-6 Ravens. Lamar Jackson has been filling in for Joe Flacco the last few weeks because of an injury. Since then, they've been winning until last week when they dropped a close one to the Chiefs. Flacco is healthy now, so the question is, who is Baltimore going to start as their QB? I expect them to keep this a secret for as long as possible. This actually is a very winnable game, no matter who is at quarterback. The Bucs defense is no longer giving up ungodly high completion percentage, and they're still getting a lot of pressure on the QB. Does it matter? I think so. Like I said 2 weeks ago, I will always root for a Bucs win. Honestly, we've been in this situation in December nearly every year. It's times like these for fans to band together and just enjoy being miserable together. So if you haven't seen them already, there's a ton of fan groups that are full of die-hard Bucs fans. Buccaneer Invasion and the Bucaholics are a couple that have great Facebook communities and always have watch parties, gatherings, and tailgates across the country. I'll link to those groups below so you can check them out. Alright guys, that's it for me. Remember to subscribe, share this video, and check out the cool affiliate links down below. See you next week. Go Bucs.